Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. So first off, just want to say thanks to those of you that stuck around last night. I always really enjoy the uh, times we get together, talk options, talk trading, talk stocks, talk the market, and last night, no exception. It just, I feel like it just the way it's been lining up. Like the last few times we've gotten together, it's really happened like on the day of like really critical moves in the market, and yesterday just kind of lined up that way again. So kind of wild, but just wanted to say thanks to you guys that stuck around. Always value the input and like the discussion. Um, so if you weren't able to make it, definitely check that out, and let me know if you have any questions. All right. Uh, Actually, let me fix this here. So what I want to talk about today, I'm just going to update this, is something that I talk about fairly often, right? And it's correlation trades. So sympathy trades is what I call them. And basically, that just means like two stocks that move closely in tandem, right? They're highly correlated um, companies. And in this case, um, NVIDIA reporting this week, right? Definitely one of the big tech reports, if not the biggest tech report this week. And going into earnings, the stock is just absolutely exploding higher. So just running and running and running, right? And when I put together the earnings on the radar video on Friday, I mean, what I was talking about is like it's very tough to get a handle on this type of move and get comfortable in like an option position going into this because the stock is literally straight up into earnings, so expectations have gotten super high. It's at a 52-week high, and the option contracts in particular are expensive, right? They're pricing in a big move. So the Nvidia weekly straddle is looking for about almost like a 20, let's say like 28 to 29 point move this week. So very substantial move on Nvidia after already a substantial run, right? And to me, or maybe to you, like the way you look at it, it can be kind of frustrating, right? Because it's definitely like one of the higher profile names this week, but because of the run it's had, I mean, to me, like personally, like I feel like I can't really do anything because I feel like I'd be chasing it. So it's kind of frustrating to have to sit it out, right? But at the same time, there are possibly opportunities elsewhere, right? And like that's where like the sympathy trade idea comes in, and it's not just Nvidia, but you'll see it in a lot of different areas. So like chip stocks kind of present it a lot, retail, uh, bios, or maybe even like closely correlated industrials, right? So what you'll notice is AMD, right? Kind of like most people probably realize that AMD, Nvidia are trade fairly similar, but I mean, when you overlay a comparison, right, I mean, you can see how close these two have traded this year, right? Just up until like the last like 2 weeks, right? So basically, you can see like the blue line being Nvidia, right, and then this is the AMD chart, and you can see like these two stocks were extremely closely correlated just up until the last 2 weeks, right? And which is when Nvidia really started to run and AMD hasn't, right? So to me, like that's interesting, right? Because these are two closely correlated names. Nvidia has earnings this week, and Nvidia's at like a 52-week high and broke out, right? So like that's why I was thinking like AMD is like an interesting sympathy trade, right? At the same time, like options, right? So you figure if Nvidia does end up having a big move, odds are AMD probably has a pretty substantial move too, right? Nvidia pricing in a 28-point move, but the implied volatility on the weekly options is at like 110. AMD, the options on AMD are never typically cheap per se, but in terms of implied volatility, they're only around like 55, 56. So NVIDIA implied volatility 110, AMD implied volatility 55 to 56. And you can see based off the chart that the two are have, for the most part this year, traded very closely in tandem. So I'd be thinking if Nvidia is going to have a big move and an option market is pricing in a big move, then odds are AMD is also probably going to have a significant move too because stocks tend to move in tandem together. right? So that's why I was focusing on AMD coming into the week, because like I knew Nvidia was reporting and I knew how closely correlated the two stocks were, and I saw the pattern where AMD was still underneath its 52-week high, hasn't broken out yet, whereas Nvidia has already started to like scream higher, right? So that's why I'm always on the hunt for these types of patterns or these types of trade setups, because it's not as if it's not as if like I'm against trading Nvidia, right? Like there's definitely a possibility that it could have a really big move and still reward the options, but if I have the confidence that AMD is going to move too, and the options from like implied volatility perspective are half of what Nvidia is, then to me like that seems more interesting than going after Nvidia. All right, so again, you'll see these types of scenarios pop up a lot. Retail, like one of the areas where you always see this pop up. Semis too, so AMD, Nvidia, but then you have like the semi suppliers like Lam, AMAT, and Clack. Like the storage names like a Micron, Western Digital, right? So it pops up in a lot of different areas. It's not just AMD and Nvidia, but these are always like the names or like the setups that I'm always on the hunt for. All right. So, if you like these videos and you're looking for more option trade ideas, more earning trade ideas, more information on options education, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options in play. Hope you guys have a safe night, stay well, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.